Black History Month is
intelligence,
resiliency,
integrity,
acceptance,
empowering,
innovative,
remembrance,
identity,
equity,
freedom,
love.
26 House wants to say thank you to all those who have come before us in the African American community and celebrate and embrace Black history.
Together, We stand united as a community of Magic fans with a common passion and love for the game. We cheer together from our living rooms, chat rooms, and in the arena, on the court and off the court. Together, we are strong. Together, we overcome. We are Magic together.
It's time to crack an egg.
Easy, any style egg works here.
Or smile.
Well done, this looks great.
Time to share a story.
Have a great way to start our discussion.
With old friends or new ones.
When you're a caregiver.
Time to breathe in.
And pal up. Good job.
Then let it all out. It's never been easier to connect, learn, and have fun.
Cheers.
So let's do it together. Come find us at aarp.org/near-you.
It's time to hit reset on HIV. Here's why sticking to HIV treatment, exactly as prescribed, is so important. It helps lower the amount of virus in your body to undetectable. There's so little virus, it can't be measured by a lab test. People living with HIV can protect their partners by getting to and staying undetectable. According to current research, staying undetectable prevents the transmission of HIV through sex. Talk to a healthcare provider and get reset at helpstopthevirus.com.
Welcome to 26 Health, Center Florida's LGBTQ Health Center. I'm Dr. David Baker Hargrove, President and co-CEO. At 26 Health, we strive to create an integrated, multidisciplinary health center that serves all of our community through primary medical care, behavioral health services, adoption services, patient care services, and our Medi-Spa. At 26 Health, we care for every letter. No matter how you identify, your letter matters to us.
Good morning, downtown Orlando, and welcome to What's Up Downtown. Of course, today is Thursday, March 4th, 2021. My name is Thomas Chapman Jr., and I have the honor and the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of the Downtown Development Board, Community Redevelopment Agency for the City of Orlando. And on behalf of all those entities, I want to express our sincere appreciation to you for your ongoing support of downtown and for joining us today. Before we get started with the program, a few housekeeping matters I just want to get out of the way. Obviously, What's Up Downtown is a program that we bring to you monthly, and for many, many years now. It has always been very successfully curated by Rose Garlick. And though you can't see Rose, she is here with us as always and making sure that everything goes exactly as planned and that we do a good job for you. Rose, thank you for the job that you do on an ongoing basis. And of course, in the virtual world that we live in, it's always important now to have someone who is much more technically proficient than I am. And so our director that we have today, who's pushing all the right buttons so that you can see me and hear me, and we will be able to hear you at the right time, is Nicole Sisson, who handles all of the technical stuff for the Downtown Development Board and the Community Redevelopment Agency. Nicole, thank you. Thank you for getting my camera on just now for me when I couldn't do that. So thanks very much. So we're happy to have you join us. You know, as most of you have noticed, I'm sure, every February, Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and the entire City Council celebrates Black History Month by highlighting the lasting contributions and positive influence of Black Americans in the Central Florida community. Most of you probably didn't realize that between the years of 2007 and 2017, the number of African American business firms increased by some 34.5%. That is from 1.9 million in 2007 to more than 2.6 million in 2017, accounting for roughly half of all small businesses owned by people of color. Of course, this is true also within here in Central Florida, where small businesses owned by African Americans employ many in our great city and our region. They're a critical place in our collective culture. I always say one of the things that I love so much about Central Florida, I don't call it a melting pot, I call it really a tossed salad of various cultures that come together and blend together very, very well and complement each other and make for a very fresh and progressive atmosphere here in Central Florida. Again, before we go further, a couple of other very distinguished guests with us. I have to my left Walter Hawkins, who is the city's director of urban development. I certainly appreciate it. Walter's one of those people I always feel better when he's around. And so Walter, thank you for being here this morning. And Reggie McGill, we have royalty in the house. Reggie McGill, director of constituent services for the city, working out of the mayor's office for a long time and being a key liaison to our community is with us. So again, gentlemen, thank you both for your ongoing support and your leadership. And thank you for being here. The City of Orlando and the Downtown Development Board and Community Redevelopment Agencies are committed to supporting our African American business community to achieve success. Although the pandemic has changed the way that all of us live and that we do business, it has not changed our unwavering commitment to inclusion, diversity, and equity. This is the reason we're doing this event today. The panelists today are very, very special. They are examples of tenacity, perseverance, resilience, and absolutely success. I'm looking forward to hearing from them. I'm sure that you are as well. Before we do, finally, I do want to thank our sponsors who make these programs possible. Thanking them today, our platinum sponsors are 26 Health, Bank of America. Our gold sponsors are AARP, the Orlando Magic, our Downtown Development Board, Gilead Sciences. Our silver sponsors are Centrus Financial Strategies, Orlando City Foundation. And our bronze sponsors, Massey Service Incorporated, Grand Lakes Orlando, VP Mortgage Group, and Smiley Face. So before we begin today's panel discussion, I'd like to remind you that you can interact and add your questions in the chat box throughout the discussion. All questions will be answered at the end of the presentations, and you can direct your questions to any of our panelists as well as the moderator. Also, I must say that Rose is giving away one Black Love t-shirt to every one of those who are participating today. So Rosie, hook a brother up. I'd appreciate having one. All right. At this point, I'd like to introduce a set of very special messages to you from some elected officials, starting with our own mayor, the Honorable Mayor Buddy Dyer, and concluding with Commissioner Regina Hill, as well as Commissioner Bakari Burns.
Hello, I'm Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer. Welcome to our 2021 Black History Month celebration. Each year during the month of February, we come together to celebrate the lasting contributions and positive influence of Black Americans to our community. And although the pandemic has changed the way we come together, it has not changed our unwavering commitment to true change, which is why we continue to take actions and make investments to help end systemic racism and create an Orlando where every resident is equally valued, equally protected, and has equitable access to opportunities. I'm proud of the wonderful events and discussions our Black History Month Committee has prepared for you that cover important topics such as educational opportunities for African American youth, mental health, faith, nutrition, entrepreneurship, as well as arts and culture. I hope you'll leave each event with increased knowledge from these engaging conversations and presentations. Thank you to all of our sponsors for the support to help bring these events to life, and thank you all for being a part of these important events.
Happy Black History Month, City of Orlando. We have approached another year to celebrate the richness and strength of our culture. 2020's provided challenges for the African American community and even challenged our unification. But as a people and a community, we rose to speak stronger, cry louder, and herald harmony, so millions would know that we are ready and resilient for anything that may come our way. This year's Black History Month theme in the city of Orlando is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. The Black family is known for its unity, its strength, its power. Over the next few weeks, the City Beautiful will cover a myriad of perspectives of the Black family, things like the soul in our food, and how it's not only filling to the body, but it's edifying to the spirit. The power of our faith in God. Sunday morning church in the Black family is not just a ritualistic statement in our culture, but it's an experience with our Creator and a communal vibrancy. The strength of our arts and culture. We are naturally creative people. Many have experienced this creativity in our music, our dancing, paintings, and so much more. Our empowerment. Our forefathers and civic leaders have fought to give us so many opportunities today. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in." Leaders such as Dr. King and his dream has provided opportunities for Black children such as myself and others. As equality and equity continues to be the fight for the Black community and move to the forefront of every major topic in America, empowerment in so many areas of the lives of African Americans will be realized even greater now. Manifestations of that empowerment are in the forms of a Justice Thurgood Marshall, a Condoleezza Rice, and a President Barack Obama, and even now, Vice President Kamala Harris. Empowerment fulfilled. I believe this month, our city and those who will be watching and viewing will see Black History Month is more than just February. They will see, although magnified in a month, that our history here in the city of Orlando when it comes to Blackness is 365 days a year. Black history is American history, and we're grateful to be able to share it with you. Happy Black History Month.
Welcome to the City of Orlando's virtual celebration for Black History Month. I'm Orlando City Commissioner for District 6, Bakari F. Burns. This year, we are celebrating the wholeness of the Black family. Our families are often celebrated through entertainment, like television shows and theater productions, as well as depicted in movies and other mediums. But our families are more than just what's portrayed on the big and small screen. We are extraordinarily diverse, from cooking recipes passed down through generations to hearing, listening, and understanding the wisdom, pain, and joy from our ancestors. The Black family is an essential part of American society because of its multiplicity. The parts of Black culture that's often duplicated and imitated starts from the family. Our faith and spirituality, our ability to dance, sing, orate, and even laugh is passed down through our families. I hope that you enjoy this event and learn more about why the strength of Black families is so important. It's not only how we stand, it's our foundation. Happy Black History Month.
Okay, and thank you very much to Mayor Dyer and Commissioners Hill and Burns for their continued support of Black businesses and African-American owned entities throughout Orlando and Central Florida. So, our moderator for today, I am absolutely honored to introduce Ms. Tanisha Gary. She is President and CEO of the African-American Chamber of Commerce for Central Florida. In that role, Ms. Gary is a leading advocate for business development and economic empowerment. As head of this very established nonprofit, she is responsible for cultivating strong relationships with key community leaders and corporate entities in an effort to enhance opportunities for members and engage partners on initiatives. Tanisha oversees all of the outreach efforts for the Chamber, which encompass some 6 counties of Central Florida, and she executes strategic planning to ensure the Chamber's voice is included in economic, education, and community conversations that impact the region. Prior to being named president of the African American Chamber, she was a principal of a private law firm focused on all aspects of litigation for wrongful death cases and medical negligence. Tanisha is an active member throughout our community, serving in several civic and professional associations, including the Boy Scouts of America of Central Florida Council, Orange County's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Initiative as the Diversity and Inclusion Chair, the BB&T Advisory Board, and the Florida Association of Chamber Professionals. She's also a member of Jack and Jill of America, which I was as a child, Incorporated, and the Orlando, Florida chapter of Links. She is a proud member of Kappa Alpha sorority and a graduate of Spelman College. Please welcome our moderator for today, Ms. Tanisha Nunn Gary.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much, Thomas, for that warm introduction. It is a pleasure to be here, not only on behalf of the African American Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida, but also the City of Orlando and the Downtown Development Board. What's up downtown? The state of empowerment and growth of African American entrepreneurs. We are definitely in for a treat today as we have some incredible panelists who will share their expertise and experience with us. You heard from Thomas when he said that all of the panelists and participants are special to him, where they are special to me too, because they are all members of the African American Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panelists for today's webinar. First, we have Alvin Cowens. Alvin is the president of McCoy Federal Credit Union and serves with various community organizations in a multitude of capacities over his 42 years in the Orlando area. In 2009, he was appointed by Mayor Dyer to serve on the city's finance committee and continues to serve in this capacity today. We also have with us Lamont Jackson. Lamont is the Director of Business and Technical Assistance for Bbif Florida. He is a seasoned professional with 20+ years of banking, finance, small business consulting, community engagement, branch management, loan review, commercial lending, and credit administration experience. He is also a founding member and past president of the Central Florida chapter of the National Black MBA Association. Next, we have with us Neal Crozier. Neal is co-owner of Popcorn Junkie and has over 25 years of combined management experience in the fields of industrial engineering, retail sales, real estate, and mortgaging. He serves as an advisor on the City of Orlando Downtown Nighttime Economic Development Committee, championing programs that promote a vibrant downtown economy. As co-owner and chief operating officer, he works closely with his team in creating new recipes, shipping orders, serving customers, and the everyday operations of the business. And our final panelist this morning is Kimberly Stewart, who is holding it down on the panel for women business owners during Women History Month. And so we're happy to have her. Kimberly is the president of KRS Wealth Management. She has over 28 years of experience as a financial advisor and holds a Bachelor of Science in Finance from the University of Central Florida, our hometown university. Go Knights. Kimberly is active in the community and has served on the UNCF Advisory Council and the Negro Spiritual Scholarship Foundation. She is also a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. So I'm going to start with questions for the panel, but as you heard earlier, we want this to be an interactive discussion, and I encourage everyone to please put your questions into the chat. So we'll start this morning's discussion with Alvin. Good morning, Alvin. How are you?
Good morning, Tanisha, and good morning to everyone. I'm doing very well this morning. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being with us. So first question, what are the benefits of a business working with a credit union instead of a traditional bank?
Very good question. And first, let me also thank Downtown Orlando and City of Orlando for putting on this economic empowerment virtual panel discussion and allowing me to participate. I would first say that credit unions provide a competitive option for financial products and services. But more importantly, credit unions are local ownership, it's local decision-making, it's community and employee focused. It was designed by the federal government in 1934 that created the Federal Credit Union Act for the sole purpose of providing financial services to the unbanked, to the underserved population, the low-income communities that was not being served by the corporate banking institution. So, you know, banking is personal, and banking is basically relationship building and trust. And so credit unions, because they are owned by its membership, develops that trust within the community it serves. If you think about it, all the big banks in the Orlando area, none of the bank's CEOs are local. You know, Bank of America is out of North Carolina, Chase is in New York, and Citicorp is New York, and Wells Fargo is San Francisco, and all the decision making is not community related. Whereas credit unions, we live here, we work here, our corporate offices are local, our corporate offices are community based, and so in turn, you see the decision makers in the grocery stores, walking in the streets, and it helps build that relationship and creates the trust that credit unions can offer to businesses and offer to the consumers. And so that's really one of the keys. It's an option. Because of our structure, we're nonprofit cooperatives, and it allows us to be able to price our products much less than the banking institutions. It allows us to be able to offer lower rates on loans, higher rates on investment opportunities because of the actual structure. If you think about the banking institutions, they have to pay stockholders and they have to pay IRS the taxes on their profits. So they have to incorporate those costs into their products. Whereas credit unions, because Congress knew that there was a need, made us tax exempt. So we don't have to price our products to include paying taxes or paying stockholders. So our pricing can be lower for the consumer, and that helps for businesses also.
Thank you, Alvin. You know, you touched on something that's very important, and I think we all saw that last year, very prevalent, is that it's important to have a personal relationship with your institution. And so, especially when we had Black businesses applying for PPP, with some banks, if you did not know and have a personal relationship, we saw a lot of our businesses struggling to even get their applications considered. And so, I just want to highlight what you said when one of the benefits of working with the credit union, such as yours, McCoy, is building that trust and having a personal relationship. And when you're looking at access to capital and making sure you, can have that access for loans to start your business and grow your business, that's very, very crucial. So I just want to highlight that and echo what you said.
Yeah,
Thank
just
you.
one quick point on that. If you think about the PPP loans, when they first came out, the big problem was that the corporate banks were giving the money to the big companies. And they ran out of money, and the small businesses were not able to take advantage of that. We had the big banks, Chase and Bank of America, called us to ask if we could serve their small business accounts because they had spent all the money on the big corporate accounts and didn't have money for the smaller businesses. And we wound up doing about $12 million, over 300 accounts that came in from the banking institutions.
Yes, we definitely all read and saw that. And then next, I want to take it over right to Lamont from BBIF. Good morning, Lamont.
Good morning, Tanisha. Good to see you.
Great to see you as well. That's a perfect lead way. I know BBIF was also working around the clock last year and even this year, helping, businesses throughout the state of Florida, just not here in Central Florida. Tell us, what is BBIF currently offering in 2021?
Well, I think, this is a great conversation because, PPP was really kind of the bridge and lifeblood that a lot of the small businesses need just to get over the hump. And to Alvin's point, that first round, we saw all of this money going to these big corporations, a lot of whom already had cash reserves and really didn't need it at all. And so we saw some fraud in there as well. We were thankful and grateful to be able to be a participant in the first round and even now in this round. And in that first round, I think we were able to do about $7.7 million of PPP directly to our community. That's the benefit. That's the key here is that because we are mission driven and we are focused on Black, minority, and underserved businesses, all of our funding went to those businesses. So if I look at our statistics, about 85% of all funds for PPP in that first round went to Black and minority businesses. So that's one of the critical things. Now, in terms of current offerings, we're in that second draw period for PPP right now. And really we're focused on making sure that those folks who got first draw, as well as those new PPP requests get pushed through. So again, we're focused on small Black, minority, and underserved businesses. And we're trying to make sure that we push those through to make sure that they get the funding that they're needing. One of the key things that's really happening right now especially for PPP is that we are in an exclusivity period that the SBA has carved out for the smallest of businesses. So one of the critical things that happened in this round is that the SBA kind of retooled themselves and said, you know what, we need to make sure that Black, minority, and underserved businesses are getting the funding. But we also want to make sure that those funds are going to the smallest and the hardest hit businesses. And so right now, between March 9th and March 14th, we have this exclusive window that is focused on those businesses that are 20 employees or less. And so we are really encouraging those smallest of businesses in our community throughout Central Florida, throughout Florida, to make sure that they tap into those funds if they are needing it. Make sure that they can cover their payroll. They've expanded the uses of PPP in terms of being able to cover some of those operational expenses as well. So this is a great opportunity for those smallest businesses to tap into that. In terms of other offerings, one of the critical things in all of this too is making sure that our businesses have the management and business acumen training resources to make sure that they understand how to pivot in this, unprecedented environment. And so we are really focused on making sure that we can educate our businesses as well, giving them the critical training that they need to make sure that they see opportunities, can go back and reevaluate their business, look at their financials and understand where they can go from here. So that's critical. And then making sure that in general, we have other loans that we can make sure that's being offered to businesses, not just PPP. So, we have other loan products. We have dedicated Black Business Loan Fund. We have a dedicated contractor finance loan fund. So we have some other loan funds that we can also offer to clients as well to make sure that they are getting the attention, the focus, and the access that they need to be able to grow and sustain their business.
Thank you, Lamont. And I think this just, is worth reiterating and just stressing. Tell us again the deadline for this special window to apply here. What are the deadlines?
Absolutely. So, the carve out right now is between March 9th and March 14th. So we basically have that 14-day exclusivity period where it's going to be primarily focused on those businesses that are 20 employees or less. So if you fit that category, this is the perfect time for you to connect with BBIF or another lender to make sure that you can get in, get your application in. And one of the other critical things that you need to make sure of is that you have all of your documents together and ready to submit, because again, that window is going to close very quickly. And then of course, from a PPP, the second draw altogether, we basically have until the end of the month. So March 31st is when it's scheduled to end for this overall draw. So that is critical that you are prepared, get your information in and get it uploaded and ready to go. So
very valuable information. Let's switch gears a little and hear from some of our African-American entrepreneurs. And first we have Neal with Popcorn Junkie. Good morning, Neal. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. Thank you so much for letting me be here.
Absolutely. Great to see you with all that delicious popcorn in the background. So Neal, we'll start with the question. Goldman Sachs' 10,000 Small Businesses report stated that Black business owners who apply for funding have a rejection rate 3 times higher than that of their white counterparts. What challenges, if any, did you face when starting a business, specifically in the food service industry, where there are traditionally a lot of startup costs?
Well, I would have to say there are challenges. The challenges are ongoing. In starting up the business, you got to have a good business plan. You got to really look at the cost of doing a business. Do you have effective numbers that you can really apply to so that you're able to do what you need to do? But we do find that it is a challenge and an ongoing challenge. What we have done specifically here at Popcorn Junkie, we try to leverage those challenges by applying for SBA grants and things that the city or the government provides that would help you in your business. I would highly recommend anybody who's looking to start a business, look at what programs are available for assistance. And just as Alvin mentioned, credit unions are a good resource because they focus on the community. Where you go to the big banks, they could be good for you, but they're not as in tune as the credit union would be. Other things that we find that was very challenging, along with that cost, is to manage the cost of goods, shipping and receiving, other things that go along with the business that you may not consider how much cost it will be. So we try to work locally with businesses so we can eliminate some of that shipping costs and also support the local businesses as well. And then we also try to really keep an eye on how much our cost of goods are in relationship to expenses and return on our investments. So I would tell any person who's trying to start a business to really do their homework on the cost, because we have big dreams, but you got to really watch the numbers because the numbers will not lie.
Great points, Neal. You know, you touched on it and you began by saying you have to have a business plan, and that is so critical. You know, if you have a big dream and you want to go out and open up a business, you've got to start with the business plan. You don't just all of a sudden find a location, open your doors and start popping popcorn or whatever it is that you want to do. You have to do your research and you have to make sure you're properly prepared. So that's a great point. And then once you do those things and you start, I like how you focused and you said you've got to constantly manage your cost and look at everything that's going on. So, you know, it's something that, as you said, in your over operations for Popcorn Junkie, it's something you always have to have your eye on. And so I appreciate you just kind of pointing that out and speaking from personal experience. Next, we have Kimberly with us. Good morning, Kimberly. How are you?
Great morning. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. I'm going to give you a moment to turn your camera on. There you are. Hi, Kimberly. Wonderful. So, Kimberly, you own a wealth management firm. Did your background and knowledge help you to steer clear 100% from some of the challenges that many Black entrepreneurs face securing capital?
I won't say that it helped me steer clear 100% because there are still many challenges that affect us regularly. But what it did do is it gave me some basis to help me start the business. I recommend all business owners take a finance course. We have to understand the economics of economics, especially when you're going into business for yourself. So by all means, take a basic finance course. It does help. And then, you know, one of the other things we talked about or the question involves is whether or not I use my own capital. That helped as well. Having my own capital helped me start my business and get going. You know, one of the things you have to realize is that traditional funding is not always available or as easily accessible to minority business owners. That's just the way of the world. And so by having some capital and having some financial standing behind me, that helped me get any additional capital I need, i.e. having some money saved, having a good credit score of 720 or higher. Because in this world, we've got to make it harder for them to say no. Because saying no typically is often very easily done. But when you come with certain things behind you, credit scores, money in the bank, a history of good financial stewardship, then you can make it a lot easier in this world and be able to get access to capital and be able to get the funding that you need for your business.
Again, you know, I'm hearing, just like I heard from Neal, being prepared, and you make a very, just excellent point. Anybody who's going into business should take a basic finance course just to know the basics. So that's a very, very good point. So you'll have that foundation even when you're looking at your financials, you're meeting with your CPA, you're meeting with your banker. You at least know certain terms, what questions to ask, and so what to keep your eye on. So very good points. Thank you, Kimberly. We're going to go back to you, Alvin. Next question. Times have changed since McCoy Federal Credit Union was established in 1954. Talk to us about what some of the changes you've seen made in the last, 10 to 5 years, and maybe even the last year with everything we saw in 2020, to ensure that Black borrowers are receiving the same opportunities as their counterparts.
Great. I would say one of the main issues has been expansion and growth. Has been a focus in order to create the economy of scales that allow us to be able to offer all the right products and services and hire the right staff to be able to offer business loans. One of the things we were able to do is to be certified as an SBA lender. Not all financial institutions have that certification. You have to go through a qualification process to be able to offer SBA loans and offer first-time business loans. We created a business lending department and hired the appropriate staff to train them to be able to offer those products. So flexibility, expansion, growth has been what we've seen over the last 5 years. McCoy was a military-based credit union, McCoy Air Force Base. So if you ever fly into Orlando and you go online, typically it comes out MCO. Well, that stands for McCoy, because the Air Force Base, the airport now is where the Air Force Base was. And so we expanded our reach to get beyond the military. Now we serve 4 counties, the MSA, the Orange, Osceola, Seminole, and Lake County. That gave us an opportunity to reach we are also a low-income designated credit union. 58% of our membership is low income. Those are some of the things that allows us to reach the community and bring our products and services, low cost products and services, to the community where it's needed. And so those are the things that we concentrated on over the last 5 years, is to expand, to grow, create economy of scales that we can offer those PPP loans, that we can offer small business loans, that we can catch up and keep up with the electronic payment systems. Now everybody uses their telephone as their branch banking. All the transactions are done by your telephone. Well, there's a cost associated with that. We have to put the infrastructure in place. And so the ability to bring that to the table was created because of the expansion and the growth, and then reaching the community. We have what we call a business development team, and their job is to go out and tell the story, to say, we got a pretty good deal. When you compare your banking with the corporate banks, your pricing, we got low cost but quality service. Come give us a try. And that creates the wealth of the institution. Credit unions can only make money in 3 different ways. We make money by making loans, so we get the interest off of that. We make money on the income from fee income from the transactions that take place. My responsibility is to invest money that we don't lend, and fee income. So fee income, interest income, and investment income. And so you have to create loans to make it work. And what better place to go than to the minority communities, the African American community, Hispanic communities, and bring a product that's low cost to them, and then they use us, and we create growth in that manner, then that we can offer other products down the line.
Thank you, Alvin, for sharing that. And I know that I have witnessed, and, kudos to the business development team at McCoy. I've been in many organizations, and I've seen even within the chamber, the outreach that they do in our community just to provide services and education and resources. So definitely we have seen the shift. And thank you for that history lesson too, because I did not know that about MCO and the history of that. So I appreciate that. Do want to just move right on to our next question. We're back to you, Lamont. Just want to know, what are the benefits of a Black business owner working with BBIF?
Well, I think one of the critical things is that we are a CDFI, which is a community development financial institution, and we are mission driven. So that right there allows us to be a little bit different in terms of why we focus and who we focus on. And so when a business comes to us seeking a loan or seeking even just general resource or information, we have that specific targeted focus on being able to help them. We don't have a box that we have to kind of check off to say, either you're this, and this, or you don't fit into our credit policies. We can take you case by case, look at the business, look at where you're at, and look at your request. And even if in the initial decision, we say, you know what, maybe you're not quite ready for a loan. Well, guess what? This is a soft landing. That means that we can work with you to plug in gaps to help you with your business. Maybe it's an issue with your financials. Well, through our technical assistance and our management consulting, we can work with you to help you address some of those issues so that it isn't just, hey, we can't do anything for you and send you on your way. So that soft landing is one of the critical things. Again, we're not a depository institution, but we are a financial institution. So we make decisions on our lending based off of your ability to pay and on the overall potential and growth of your business. But because we are mission driven, we can get in there with you and become a partner with you in helping you to grow and develop your business. So it's not a lonely street for you to walk on. Flexible and responsible lending, that's what we really focus on. And again, we have a number of different loan products. We make sure that we ask the question around, okay, what are you really trying to do with this business? Have you really thought it out from an overall strategy and planning perspective? And if you haven't, that's fine. Guess what? We can work with you, help you really kind of figure those things out. And overall, we want to bring the training. A lot of times, business owners will fall into a business without any real training or plan. And that, we meet you where you're at. That's a good thing. You don't have to know everything about, counting and, financial strategy and projections and all those things, because those are big nebulous things that some business owners just don't think about and they don't have exposure to. But guess what? We can help you with those things. And so that's the real benefit of having someone like a BBIF be a partner in your business versus just being transactional.
And that's so key, is making sure when you are an entrepreneur and you work for yourself, it can be quite lonely. And so you need to make sure you have partners and those that you can go to for assistance and support and guidance when needed. And BBIF definitely is a place to go to for those resources. Neal, can you talk to us a little bit about what type of resources and or opportunities would you like to see made more accessible to African-American entrepreneurs?
Well, I think that's a very interesting question. I think there are plenty of programs and resources available, but from my experience with talking with other entrepreneurs, particularly African-Americans, they're unaware of the programs, or for some reason or another, they don't choose to use them. Even in this program that we're having today, I'm learning so much from Alvin and Lamont that I'm definitely gonna get back with them with some of the things they talked about. Because when you're in this entrepreneurship, especially as a person who is, their individual business, they're the business owner, they get so much caught up in so much of the activities of the business that you find yourself, you really don't even have time to really dig into the resources that's available. But I think there's a lot of resources available. It's been very good for us with the SBA. They helped us a lot. Some programs that UCF had that helped us a lot. So these programs are there. I just think that the marketing and getting people to know about the programs is the real challenge. So programs like we're having today, this is something that maybe we could do more often, or maybe have a program that the entrepreneur knows what day is coming up, it's going to be on, and they do it monthly or bi-monthly or something like that. That will keep us engaged in what's available for entrepreneurs, especially Black businesses owners.
Neal, you make a great point. It's not necessarily not having some of the resources, it's just knowing about what's out there. And I think, one of the best ways to do that, and shameless plug, but is to get involved in organizations such as the African-American Chamber of Commerce of Central Florida and others. You mentioned UCF, their incubator, SBA, just so that you're connecting with those who can provide you information and resources and as you said, this panel, hats off to the city and to their downtown board for putting this together, because it does not only highlight and showcase Black entrepreneurs here in Central Florida, but it also just sheds light on you need a community, you need resources, and you need people that you can go to. So I think that's it. You're busy running your business, and sometimes you just have to make sure, let me carve out time to participate in discussions such as these, because that's how you learn and you grow. So, great points there. Kimberly, gonna move right to you. So statistically, wealth management isn't a field that the majority of Black women entrepreneurs decide to pursue. Has this been a challenge for you, or does it actually help you when pursuing both business to business opportunities, such as securing additional resources and attracting new clientele?
Interesting question. It is not unheard of that I'm usually the only one in the room. I am in a white male dominated business. And when I first started, I used to view that as a double-edged sword. Now I view it as an opportunity. I've worked really hard to get to this place. And so one of the things that I've always knew I needed to do in this business was become credentialed, i.e. I needed to separate myself from everyone else. And so that included making sure I had the requisite education, making sure that I had, to be quite frank with you, I went a little bit further with the education, with the professional designations and the professional certifications and things of that nature. The other part was making sure that I had the experience. The 28 years that I've spent in financial services, what I've tried to do is make very strategic career moves, and how I moved from company to company before I started my own firm. And so I don't view it as a double-edged sword anymore. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for me to let the people in the room know that I'm here and that I belong here. So I tend to make sure that when I step into a room, I'm equipped, I'm prepared, and I'm ready to add value to the discussion, because they're going to remember that there was a Black woman in that room. I want it to be a positive memory. So yes, it sometimes is a double-edged sword, but from this, for many years, I view it as an opportunity to be different, and to be different in a way that makes me memorable to everyone else. And so it helps with business leads, because if you're looking for a minority wealth manager, guess what? You're going to remember that, hey, there was a Black woman there at that conference or speaking on this panel and things of that nature. So it helps. And the other way it helps is I've found a great niche. I truly have. Most of my clients are Black females, to be quite frank with you. And so we've done a great job, and I'm happy for that. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, you just hit on it, finding your niche. You found a niche, you went above and beyond to make sure you were more than prepared, had all of the right credentials, and even some that perhaps you didn't need. And so I think those are things that, of course, can set anyone apart, as it has done for you, with a lot of hard work and dedication. So you're holding it down, as I said before, for not only Black entrepreneurs here on the panel, but just in the community and throughout the state. I know when you go to conferences, you are one of few. And so, just kudos to you for doing that, Kimberly. Awesome. As we move on, I want to, go back to Alvin and talk a little bit more about the pandemic and what you have seen, the effect that it has had on the borrowers that come through McCoy Federal Credit Union.
Well, there's obviously been two effects, I think. There's really a positive effect, and I'll hit that one a little bit later. But the greatest impact obviously has been stability of concerns, the job losses. Will they be able to return to the jobs they've lost, or how long before they're able to find another job, and the concerns of being able to take care of their family. But the stimulus package and the PPP loans and the unemployment income that's been coming in and the deferment plans, all these things have basically kept the borrower afloat, and riding it out. But one of the positive things I think I've seen is savings. We're seeing, with all these dollars coming in, again, stimulus packages, the $1,200 and the and the PPP loans and unemployment and all that income, we're finding that we're starting to save more money. You know, we as Americans are spenders. We spend $1 for every dollar we earn. African Americans are debtors. Statistically, we spend $1.04 for every dollar we earn, which makes us a debtor. And so in turn, what I've seen is that with these dollars coming in and there's no place to go spend it, that they're saving it and they're accumulating now savings that will be helpful for emergencies in the long run. And that's been the positive impact. We grew 30% in deposits last year. We grew over $160 million in deposits. That is very unusual. And that's what I saw. I'm looking at the accounts and I'm seeing all these accounts with balances now. And you ask, well, what's going on? Well, I'm not going on vacation and I'm not going to the mall and I'm not going to restaurants. And those dollars that have come in, they're putting them aside. Now we're creating what I consider to be wealth because you're creating savings that helps you for a rainy day, where then you don't have to go to the Amscots and other places to borrow money at these outrageous rates. So that's been a positive with the pandemic. It's caused us to slow down in our spending habits and create a mindset of saving.
Well, that was just music to my ears to hear that now we're seeing more of us save, although it was alarming to hear that prior to this, we were spending $1.04 for every dollar that we make. So that alone just highlights we had some work to do. As I'm sure Kimberly advises many of her clients as she speaks throughout the community, even on panels and stuff, but that's one good impact, as you pointed out, that now at least we are building some type of savings and acquiring some wealth for our families. So that's good to know. You know, I will go to you, Lamont. Have you been able to identify any trends or a shift in what your clients needs assistance with now versus before the pandemic, what their needs are?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, it's always about access to funding. But what really kind of took hold during this pandemic was the need for planning and financial management of the business. One of the things that was really, really glaring in that first round of PPP as we were working with clients to try to get them through the process is that they were not prepared at all in terms of being able to pull together financials, being able to pull together other documents that they would need to put together a proper loan package. And even the financials that were pulled together had some questions around. So that was a glaring thing that was really a need for, particularly for our community. The other thing that in terms of a trend was almost immediately, every business, whether they were doing it or not, realized that, you know what, I need to have a stronger online presence. I need to be selling. I need to look at how I can exploit this other channel of sales versus waiting for somebody to come in my store. Because guess what? Your store is closed or your store is at 50% capacity. Nobody's walking in, nobody's out, nobody's walking around. I need to find another way to get my products and service to the end user. So that was an immediate shift. And so we had a lot of conversations. We did a lot of webinars talking about how you pivot, what online selling looks like, what you should be thinking about, looking at your website, looking at all of those things to make sure that you can still get your products and service in front of business, in front of your end customer, make sure you still have some level of sustainability. So those are real critical things. And for our food service folks and our food clients, the restaurants and those clients, if you called on early enough, you had a great opportunity to really take advantage of, like Uber Eats and DoorDash, and that focus during that particular period of time where clients, particularly African-American clients, were looking to buy Black. And the first place they went to buy Black was looking at, restaurants. And so some of our clients even saw a significant increase in their sales because they were prepared and they started looking at those things early enough. So that was a critical shift. And I think that, even in talking with our clients now, that is a permanent mainstay. You have to have a online selling channel and presence, and people are going to go, because even after, we get to the point where we have some comfortability with going back out, it's still going to be some level of restriction, but people are going to probably still go first to your website or to some kind of online selling apparatus first if they don't have to go out, and they can still want to protect themselves. But so you need to have that presence immediately. So that is a critical thing for our businesses to make sure that they're taking advantage.
Yes, Lamont, that is so true. It's critical that you must have a website, an online presence, a social media presence. Even last year when we saw the big push to support Black businesses, buy local, buy Black, and we don't want them just to become hashtags for 2020. We want this to become a way of life that we're supporting Black businesses, which of course helps build Black stronger economies and our Black stronger communities. But in order for our businesses to really be successful, and I know Popcorn Junkie did an amazing job with their online sales, you have to have an online presence. It's not something that's optional. People need to be able to find you when they Google and they're looking for services and things. So that is actually something that's critical. It's a must if you're a business owner. You have to have a website and an online presence, and it brings about credibility as well. If people think that you have a website and that you have, something that they can go to and learn more about your business, it also makes you bring about credibility as well for your business. So Neal, speaking of you and Popcorn Junkie, as an entrepreneur, how were you affected after the Black Lives Matter movement when it was at the forefront of the conversation last year? Did you get more new business or new supporters of your business during this time?
Yes, it was a very stressful time because we had to take a lot of things in consideration. The security of our business, our business brand was important, that we make people know that we are a Black-owned business. Then we had to think about safety, our employees, their attitude toward Black Lives Matter and how they're going to display themselves in front of the customer and so forth. Because a lot of people came in and they asked, was this a Black-owned business? So we did actually increase our business. We did a lot of customers came in because they heard about us online, as you guys were speaking about, and then they found out it's a Black-owned business, and they gave us a lot of support. We got a lot of support from the community, as well as from those who was coming from abroad. We have a lot of tourists come through Orlando, and they hear about our business, Popcorn Junkie, and they come in, and once they find out it's Black-owned, they go home, and what they do, they order again online and online and online. So it really helped us in a sense that Black Lives Matter was in the forefront of society at that moment, and people wanted to give back. We have people who, not just Black, but of other ethnic backgrounds, who also want to commit to giving more to the Black community because they understand the heritage and what we've been through as a people. So I think it turned out to be very good for us in many ways. It also helped us to evaluate how we do business. As Lamont was mentioning, we didn't just depend on people to walk through the front door. We did online. We did a lot more events and working with corporations who was looking to support Black businesses. So it's been a big lift for our business as we continue to grow.
And we are all, celebrating in your growth and your success, and all just very proud of you and what you all are doing over at Popcorn Junkie for sure. And Kimberly, I'll go to you, same question. With the Black Lives Matter movement last year, did you see any growth in your business?
Yes, I did, because one of the things that, and I want to answer that question, but I also want to touch on something Alvin said, because I think it's something that as a community, we often miss out on. We have gone from, as Alvin, visualized or explained, we've gone from being debtors to now we've got a significant amount of money in savings. The problem is we as a community don't invest that money. We don't invest it in the stock market. If you look at where the stock market was this time last year, we hit, a pretty steep low. It has since recovered very nicely. And unfortunately, African Americans and Blacks aren't in the stock market as we should be. And so savings is great. I'm proud, Alvin, that you were able to bring in that much money. But if you're going to outpace the effect of inflation and taxes, you've got to invest that money and you've got to give it the opportunity to grow. So I would love to see, this is not necessarily a shameless plug for my firm, but I would love to see more of us investing the money that we are now saving and accumulating. That's what's going to create wealth in the end. And so to answer your question on, the effect of my business during the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that, yes, I had a positive effect because as Neal mentioned, people started to seek out Black businesses even more so than before. And more importantly, as AC mentioned, or Al, mentioned as well, we now have all of this disposable income that we didn't have before, i.e. not traveling, not going out to dinner and all of those things. And one of the things I've shared with most of my clients and the people in my circle is there was a blessing in this pandemic. If your income wasn't affected, i.e. you didn't lose a job, you lose your job, you didn't take a pay cut, you didn't do, you weren't the economics of your home or your business weren't affected. The blessing in this pandemic was that you should have a lot more money than what you had pre-pandemic. And that money needs to be invested. And so the Black Lives Matter, I think, brought up a few things for me. One, it made more people seek out my services as a Black financial services firm. But two, those people also had more disposable income because of what's going on with the pandemic and things of that nature. So yes, it's been a positive effect for me. It has. I tell people every day, or my close friends, it's more than I can catch these days. And that's a good problem to have.
Absolutely. And, I know you said it wasn't a shameless plug, but we do have some of our attendees asking in the chat how they can reach you and Neal and all of our panelists. So I ask all the panelists, please place in the chat, your email, contact information, website. So those that are attending will be able to follow up and reach you all for your services, or just to follow up and learn more about your businesses. So again, if you all will share your contact information in the chat, because I do see some requests coming in for that. And we do have some questions from our attendees that we'll get to in a little bit. So I encourage everyone to please keep communicating in the chat, and love to see those questions coming in. Kimberly, I'll stay with you. I do have another question for you. According to Forbes magazine, there are fewer established Black female business owners nationwide relative to their high rate of entrepreneurship, suggesting that fewer of these women are able to sustain their businesses into maturity. As both a woman entrepreneur and owner of a wealth management firm, what advice do you have for Black women entrepreneurs kind of struggling to make the transition from a startup to a successful established business as you were able to do?
The first piece of advice I would give you is don't give up. Stay the course and remember why you started. Now, what is happening is oftentimes we don't stay the course, or we're unable to stay the course because of finances. And that's where having that financial plan comes into play. That's why having some understanding of basic economics comes into play. And more importantly, having a financial planner on your side. There are some things that that as a small business owner, most often people don't realize we pay for everything. I tell people I pay for everything from paper to toilet paper. And having a plan in place and more importantly, having some money saved. One of the things I had to do when I started my firm was I had to change the way I spent money. Because, I went from having a job to now being responsible for paying for everything. And so I had to go on a budget. People don't like the word for budget, but what I call it is a spending plan. And that simply means giving every dollar that you have a purpose, whether that purpose is in the business or whether that purpose is in a personal plan. And so you've got to be able to look at your finances from a holistic point of view and make the necessary changes. I often say that we as Black people, if we can change our mindset, we can change our situation. And then more importantly, go look at where your business is. Are you offering the right service? Have you found that niche? I have found my niche and it works well. I can't be the financial advisor for everyone. That did not work for me. I had to find a niche that I could specialize in and then work that niche as much as I could. The other thing I will tell you to do is make sure you go seek help. As a small business owner, we sometimes think that we are in this silo. And certainly as Black women, sometimes we think that we've got to prove the world wrong over here. No, go get some help. Seek out mentors. I have several mentors that help me make very sound business decisions. I have several partners that I partner with that I'm able to, bounce questions off. You've got to realize that you've got to put yourself in the community there. If you started the business, and this is one of my favorite sayings, is God does not give you a vision without provision. He's not going to give you that vision without providing. But what we also have to make sure we do is we have to use the resources that he has put in place for us. That's McCoy Federal Credit Union, that's BBIF, that's your other girlfriends that are business owners and things of that nature. So simply stay the course, but also make sure you do a deep dive into your finances and you understand the economics of economics. And I know I keep repeating that because I don't believe many of us understand money, monetary policy, business, financial literacy, or any of those things. And so those are the things that as a small business owner, you have to get educated in because your business depends on it.
I love it, Kimberly. You said have a plan. And one of my favorite quotes that I often say is fail to plan or plan to fail. You have to have a plan in anything that you do. And definitely if you're beginning a business, you've got to have a plan. So I appreciate that. Alvin, back to you. Tell us what McCoy has and you're currently offering right now in 2021.
Okay, but let me quickly, if I can, and it'd be very quick, piggyback on Kimberly. Research that I've found and statistics I've found about financial wealth. When you look at Black Americans who are in the top 1% of wealth, you find that their portfolios typically are made up of real estate, insurance products, savings, CDs. But that wealth is a small percentage of the wealth of white Americans. White Americans, their portfolio is made up of stocks, mutual funds, buying businesses, and the growth of that portfolio outweighs the growth of the richest Black Americans whose portfolio doesn't include as much stocks and mutual funds and businesses. We play the safe, low risk process of buying real estate. That's our parents, our great parents, grandparents, parents, everybody says real estate is the key. So we buy real estate and we buy insurance products and we buy CDs and savings accounts. Whereas the white Americans are investing in stocks and mutual funds and buying businesses and so forth. So I just want to piggyback with Kimberly. Absolutely. Savings is not going to get you wealth. It's for a rainy day to keep you from having to borrow extraordinarily high rates. But get into the investment market and buy stocks and stuff like that with those extra dollars to create financial wealth. And then to answer the question, what are we offering coming up? I think Neal mentioned it in reference to his website and all. Delivery channels is what's going to be the difference for us coming in 2021. We got to make sure that we are doing the mobile transactions, electronic interactions, technology driven, because they're not coming into our offices not for transactions anymore. That's more relationship. So we got to take the services and products to them, and of ease. They want it to be quick, fast, and no hassles. And that's electronically technology driven. So our delivery channels are things that we're going to be offering in 2021, enhancing that, where it makes it easier for you to do your business by your mobile phone, electronically, internet, and so forth. There's little difference in the financial products that's being offered. We all have the same products. It's how do you deliver those products to the consumer that's going to make the difference. So continuing to expand and bring the products to the community are things that we're going to be doing in 2021.
Thank you so much for that. And, I do want us to have some time to get to the chat, but before we get there, we heard at the beginning of the webinar that the city is this is part of their Black History Month celebration. And so I'd like to pose this question to each of our panelists. What African-American person, or it may have been an initiative that influenced you and molded you into who you are today? And I'll start with you, Lamont.
Great question. And I was thinking about this just over the last couple of days. So first and foremost, there was a man who passed away some years ago. I'm originally from South Bend, Indiana. And there was a man there named Charles Martin. And if you ever look it up and Google it, Charles Martin was a great community leader, one who really focused on helping young men and women find their path, and really kind of instilled in me that sense of doing things for the community, making sure that whatever you gain from the community, you're able to pour back into the community. And so he was really critical. He actually got me in college, helped me with all the paperwork and all those kinds of things. So he was a great mentor and really helped me focus on what community is all about, being able to give back. The other person was on the business side, seeing people like Bob Johnson really take this entity and grow it into this huge corporation that was a major player in entertainment, and then ultimately create all of these ancillary businesses and opportunities to be able to impact wealth for not just for his family, but for all folks that work with him. So those were two critical people, I think, that were really important in terms of helping me understand community and also helping me understand business and how you can really impact.
Thanks, Lamont. Kimberly, same question.
So for me, it was a couple of people. And the first one was my 5th grade teacher. Her name was Arlene North. And 5th grade was the year that they bused me from inner city to the school in the suburbs. I was a part of a gifted and talented program, and I wasn't very happy about it because I left all my friends and things of that nature. And she pulled me aside one day and she said to me, she says, the greatest weapon you have is your mind. You're here for a reason. They felt the need to bring you here for a reason, not simply because they just needed to put you on a bus. And that's what she said to me. She says, they brought you here for a reason. And she said that reason is because you belong. And so that message has always stayed with me. This is a plug for teachers. They have a huge impact on us. They have the ability to shape and define how we become adults. The second person that has inspired me, we see her on TV quite a bit, is Melody Hobson. This is a white male-dominated business, and sometimes that can be extremely intimidating, especially when you go to a room, and I've been in rooms where there are 300 or 400 people in these rooms, and I'm the only one that looks like me. One of the things that I've seen Melody do is she doesn't allow someone else's insecurities to minimize the fact that she's here. And so that's something that I've also tried to mimic and make sure that I do. Your insecurities are yours. I'm here for a reason. And so those are the two people that have affected me in my career. Of course, there have been pastors and things of that over the course of my career, but those two have, I would say, have a great effect on me and the fact that I've been able to stay as long as I have.
Wonderful. And you, Neal?
Well, that's a very good question. As I think about the answer, I thought it's two people. Similar to Kimberly, it's two people that really affected my life, and one is my brother. He's out of Chicago, but he was very influential in his community and helping others, and he's done quite well in his life. He taught me from the time I was a young boy to be better than people I grew up with in that area that was very bad community, high crime, high drugs, that we were better than that. Even though at one time he was a gangbanger himself, but he changed his life. And the other person was a person who helped me spiritually. I used to ridicule him at one time, and he talked to me about God's word, the Bible, and helped me to put together my mindset so that I know that we're capable of doing whatever we put our mind to. He used to tell me that you will become what you think about. And I learned a lot from that. If you focus on different things, that's what your mind is trained to work on. So those two people, my brother and a guy named William H. Wilson, them two guys really molded me to be a businessman, to be a spiritual man, a family man. And then last, I'm going to say my wife of 35 years. She's been a strong influence in helping me to do when I thought I couldn't do. So those are the three.
Great, thank you, Neal. And we'll close this question out with you, Alvin.
Thank you, Tanisha. There's three. And being a former athlete, that's all I knew growing up is playing sports. And my drive was always centered around being persistent, being patient, perseverance, being determined, and have a vision. And those three people that edified that for me, one was Muhammad Ali. I read it, I followed him, I read his autobiography. I was a big fan of Muhammad Ali because of his self-confidence, his determination, moving upstream against all odds. He was the greatest of all time. And so I enjoyed watching his self-confidence. And like Kimberly, I work in an environment where only 3% of the population are African-American in the financial industry as far as corporate leadership is concerned. So you got to be determined to do it right. The other one is Jesse Owens. I followed Jesse Owens because of his perseverance, his patience, and the things he had to do. And then my final role model, the person I really watched closely, was Barry Goyd, Motown. The vision he had to what he did with Motown and creating all these entertainers and the wealth that he helped create within the African-American community with all those entertainers. It started with his vision. And so Barry Gordon's vision, Jesse Owens' perseverance, his patience, and Muhammad Ali's self-confidence and determination are part of my overall drive.
Thank you, Alvin, for sharing that. I heard several themes. We heard people in the community, schools, teachers, family, and of course, those icons that we can all look up to and learn so much about. So appreciate you all sharing that. Before we close out, let's move to the chat so we can hear from our attendees and some of their questions. This may be for you, Lamont. Could you please explain about the new PPP loan calculation for sole proprietor businesses? And then relating to gross receipts versus net income?
Yeah, so a couple of things happen. Of course, if you know anything about the whole PPP process, you know that it was ever changing. And as the program kind of really got into gear, SBA made a number of what I consider some really good changes and adjustments to the rule that they had. One just recently, well, over the last probably 3 weeks or so, was that they basically went back and said, we're going to change the calculation for sole proprietors and independent contractors. Before they were looking at net. So net, if you had your Schedule C showed a negative, a lot of times that would actually disqualify you for participating in PPP. But now that they've said, you know what, we're going to allow you to calculate your 2.5 times off of that line 7, which is a net number, which is a gross number. And now that allows you to get more in terms of potential loan, but it also allows for those folks who were previously kind of pushed out of it because they may have had a negative net number on their tax return to be able to get something in terms of a PPP loan. So those were really great adjustments that allow for more people to get funding versus previously. And also one of the other changes too was a focus on accommodations and food businesses. So if you are involved in a hotel or hospitality, they actually increased that calculation from 2.5 to 3.5, which allows, again, a bigger loan number for a loan amount for those clients. So those are really, I think, really good changes to help people get more money and expand it out for more people to get some of that money that's available.
Thank you, Lamont. And this next question may be more for Downtown Development Board, but in observing the development of the arena and the creative village over the decades, I have seen the disappearance of the culturally historic Paramore Community District. In the shadow of the wall of civic development, parallel to I-4, the community was starved of connection with schools, cultural centers, opportunity beyond the wall of highways. The benefits of the development was just minimum wage, local jobs for out-of-town affluent entertainment. In the name of downtown development, there was a cultural destruction of Black historic community. How did this happen with so much funding since the 1990s devoted to research? The positive development actually hid the cultural death of the Paramore community. Anyone from the Downtown Development Board would like to answer that? Or any of our panelists, if they'd like to chime in as well?
Sure. Tanisha, thank you. Certainly, we're happy to answer that question. It's a very insightful observation. There's quite a bit more than a question there, and we could go on for a while. Let me say this. We're all aware, of course, of the history, the very proud history of the Paramore community. It was that Paramore community that allowed the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency, to be started back in 1980 for the purposes of removing slum and blight. The record of what has been accomplished in Paramore is there for everybody to see. There's a plan that the Downtown Development Board, the Community Redevelopment Agency have that the CRA is actually City Council, that this City Council adopts and of course oversees. We're very proud of what has happened there. We're not proud of certain things that happened years ago. I understand that the site that is now Creative Village was once upon a time a very nice Black neighborhood. Obviously now it's Creative Village. But what I want our listeners to know is that that plan is manifesting itself in very positive ways. For example, the Creative Village that we just talked about. There's right now a community action plan being agreed upon, excuse me, between the city, the Downtown Development Board, and certain entities, including the developers at Creative Village and EA Sports, who's bringing their worldwide headquarters into Creative Village later this year. That will absolutely offer all types of new opportunities for the youth and adults of Paramore. We're happy for the programs that we've done with housing initiatives. If you think about it, the first new homes for sale, single-family homes in the Paramore area for more than 20 years have been done by our Downtown Development Board and CRA. We continue to design and build really nice homes over there and make them available with very lucrative down payment assistance programs. We understand that we're starting below a zero and we have to come up and bring the area up accordingly. So working on Paramore and improving Paramore and addressing the history of Paramore and more so the future of Paramore has never been brighter. We will continue to be dedicated to that. You've seen this mayor in 2003 when he initially ran for office say, judge me by what I do in Paramore. So it's on the record that Mayor Dyer, his administration, but this city council, the complete city council, embraces Paramore as part of downtown, a very important part of downtown. And as all of us know, areas that were historically Black, such as I grew up in Albany, Georgia, the area was Harlem. Those areas went through from the 60s when they did really, really well. There was disinvestment through the 90s that spiraled them down. And so they require and deserve a special attention and a special focus, dedication and commitment. We're giving all of those things to Paramore. We will continue to do that. The best is yet to come. But there's some mighty good things that we're very proud of that have already happened. And having said that, I'm happy to just simply say you can contact any of us at the Downtown Development Board or the Community Redevelopment Agency by going to downtownorlando.com, downtownorlando.com. And of course, all the information for how to contact myself, Mr. Hawkins, David Brill, our Assistant Director, and others is right there. And we're happy to discuss and engage with you about these things, and particularly our plans for Paramore.
Thank you, Thomas, for providing such great insight and the follow-up contact information for
anyone. Tanisha, you may be, are you unmuted?
I believe I am. I'm unmuted. Can everyone hear me? Yeah.
Okay, okay now.
I just wanted to thank you for that insight and providing the follow-up information if anyone has any additional questions. We only have 3 minutes and I am going to try to quickly squeeze 2 questions in and close us out on time. So Alvin, you mentioned that credit unions were member-owned. What does that mean from a practical standpoint, and what differences other than loan access would an end user expect in contrast with the corporate bank?
That's 10 minutes.
I know that's not fair, right?
But quickly, credit unions are regulated based on fields of membership. So they are basically restricted on who can become a member. And so you'd have to find out. For example, McCoy is a community-based credit union. So we are restricted based on geographics. Anybody that lives, works, worship, or attend school in Orange, Osceola, Seminole, Lake County. There's other credit unions that have larger fields of membership. The Navy has the military. There's hotels that have credit unions for their personnel. So the credit unions are designed to serve a field of membership, and that membership is exclusive to that group. And you would just have to find out what field of membership those credit unions in the local area serve. In Orlando, basically we are all community-based credit unions. Additions used to be school systems, Orange County Public Schools. They're now community. They have 20 counties. Fairwinds used to be Navy base. Now it's community. So we're basically community-based credit unions given a geographical area to serve.
You summed it up quick in less than a minute. I appreciate that. And for our attendees, again, all of our panelists, I believe, put their information in the chat. If you want to reach out to them to learn more about their businesses, their services, what they have to offer, I encourage you to do so, and how you can support them. It's time to close out. This has been a wonderful, wonderful panel. I want to thank all of our panelists again for joining us, as well as thank all of those who tuned in. Thank our attendees, and of course, the City of Orlando and the Development Board for hosting us. I want to go over a few of their upcoming events. In celebration of Women's History Month, you can join Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer and the City of Orlando for Woman in Motion, Nikhil Nichols, Star Trek and the Remaking of NASA. It will take place Thursday, March the 11th, 2021 from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts. Directed by local filmmaker Todd Thompson, the film chronicles the inspiring true story of how Star Trek actress Nichelle Nichols pioneered the NASA recruiting program to hire people of color and the space agency's first female astronauts in the late 1970s and 1980s. You can also discover Downtown will be having a St. Patrick's Day sale for both in-store and online of 20% off through March the 17th, only on March the 17th. So with that, I want to thank you all again for joining us. I want to thank the Downtown Development Board for hosting this very important panel discussion. Thank all of our panelists, and everyone stay safe and remain well. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Can everyone hear me? I just want to say thanks to everybody. A fantastic job. It's one of the few times in my life that I wished I was actually on the panel. You guys are just absolutely terrific. If there's any audience left, and for those of you on the panel, please know that for 18 years of my life, from 1980 when I graduated Morehouse, my sister from Spelman, to 1998, I was an entrepreneur. So I still see life through the lens of an entrepreneur. And so I congratulate everyone who has the courage, the wherewithal, the true grit to get out there and take that chance and make a job for yourselves and make careers and jobs for other people. It's a wonderful thing. I was one of the most, it's a highlight of my life, was growing that business. I sold it in 1998, but nothing but respect for all of you all. Tanisha, the next time you want to do anything that you're moderating, you know, holler at a brother. I'm happy to participate. You were absolutely fantastic, along with everybody else on the panel. I happen to know every panelist, and I'm better for it, and our community is absolutely better for it. I'll close out by saying, from 1980 to 1998, when I built a business in 3 states, including Florida, I never had the opportunity to sit across from a CEO of a lending institution who looked like me. I never had an opportunity to go to an entity where people that look like me, like Bbif, who would actually had a litany of programs that would just help a business go from point A to point B. And wealth management was something I couldn't even understand. There's nobody that looked like, there were no Black wealth managers in Albany, Georgia during that time. Probably aren't any now, as a matter of fact. But so the opportunities that you all make possible are absolutely wonderful. Couldn't have had a better panel. I'm happy that this was recorded because I'll really mesmerize over this for quite some time. Thanks to everybody. We appreciate you. Be well, be safe, and I'll see you around downtown Orlando.
Before you all go, Vanessa Eccles asked that I ask if we would all come on her Colorblind podcast. So she saw my social media post about this panel, and she does a podcast called Colorblind. And she asked for me to inquire if we would all go on this. So I'll reach out to each of you, but something to think about. And Tanisha, you did a wonderful job. You really did.
Yes.
Well, you all made it easy. You all were great panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you. And you all, hopefully in the chat, people really wanted to connect with you all. So your phones and emails should be blowing up shortly, which is a good thing. And Thomas, my Morehouse brother, pleasure to meet you virtually.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. This was great.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a great day. Bye.
Black History Month is
Intelligence.
Resiliency.
Integrity.
Acceptance.
empowering,
innovative,
remembrance,
Identity.
equity,
Freedom. Love.
26 House wants to say thank you to all those who have come before us in the African American community and celebrate and embrace Black history.
Together, we stand united as a community of Magic fans with a common passion and love for the game. We cheer together from our living rooms, chat rooms, and in the arena, on the court and off the court. Together, we are strong. Together, we overcome. We are Magic together.
It's time to crack an egg.
Easy, any style egg works.
Or smile.
Well done. This looks great.
Time to share a story.
I have a great way to start our discussion.
With old friends or new ones.
When you're a caregiver.
Time to breathe in.
Inhale up. Good job.
Then let it all out. It's never been easier to connect, learn, and have fun.
Cheers.
So let's do it together. Come find us at aarp.org/near-you.
It's time to hit reset on HIV. Here's why sticking to HIV treatment, exactly as prescribed, is so important. It helps lower the amount of virus in your body to undetectable. There's so little virus, it can't be measured by a lab test. People living with HIV can protect their partners by getting to and staying undetectable. According to current research, staying undetectable prevents the transmission of HIV through sex. Talk to a healthcare provider and get reset at helpstopthevirus.com.
Welcome to 26 Health, Central Florida's LGBTQ Health Center. I'm Dr. David Baker Hargrove, President and Co-CEO. At 26 Health, we strive to create an integrated, multidisciplinary health center that serves all of our community through primary medical care, behavioral health services, adoption services, patient care services, and our MediSpa. At 26 Health, we care for every letter. No matter how you identify, your letter matters to us.